Hello and welcome to a Comic Corner. This one's going to be a little different. Why? Because it's Batman's birthday today. That's right, that boy has turned 75. Wow. And amazingly enough, Batman has actually been kind of old in some of the comics and stuff like that. So he hasn't been, portrayed as a young 30 or 40-year-old dude this entire time. So it's quite interesting to see. Now, if you follow my comic corners, you know that I'm not a big DC guy. I'm really not. But of all the DC characters that I would be into, Batman is my guy. Now, the way I think of Batman as, at least in my mind, Batman to me is a scientist who over the years has become, very physically fit, has learned how to fight, and it's essentially it's because of his intelligence and his knowledge of things and his ability to create gadgets that he's able to be the crime fighter that he is. I don't look at Batman as the ninja. Admittedly, when that was introduced and that kind of idea, there was a big change to Batman, and I do see Batman more as the that Dark Knight character, the guy who is the bat, the darkness in the night, he's less the caped crusader. I'll be honest, I never really liked the Batman television series growing up, even though I was like the prime target. I was the audience, man. I was a young boy growing up. Batman's on television, but to me it was just too hokey. It was too corny. But I did like when Tim Burton did the movies. I thought that's where I sort of look and see my Batman. That's my Batman right there. Christopher Nolan's Batman, like I said, to me Batman's not a ninja. And I think that was one of the problems I found with the movie is they've made him into this ninja. He's part of the ninja clan. But if you look at the Batman in those movies, that Batman can't fight worth crap. He's about as good as the Batman who's a scientist. It's kind of lame, really. And part of that probably has to do with that costume he's wearing. I don't know what the mobility range is on that thing, but that's another story altogether. But yeah, it's funny. I'll be honest, I haven't read a lot of Batman. I still have to read Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. I still have to read the Year One storyline. The big things like Alan Moore's stuff. I have to read. I've got to read all the Robin stuff. I've got to read the Nightfall story with Bane. Figure out, do the backstory on Azrael, who the hell he is, and he comes in and steps in for Batman. Who else? What else? The Hush, Batman Hush. I think that's a big one as well. Haven't read that. I don't care too much for the later stuff. Yeah, it's more. I think if I'm gonna read Batman, and I will, I'm gonna pick up some graphic novels or something like that. I gotta read some Batman. But I think I'm gonna concentrate on that 80s to 90s Batman. Honestly, that's when I was outside of now. That was when I was probably strongest into collecting comics. I remember it was funny. I picked up I think Azrael had his own little miniseries, a 4-part miniseries, and I picked up, I think, issues like 2, 3, and 4 or something like that, and I think I'm missing one. And it really sucked, because I didn't even know. I bought them because I liked the cover. Oddly enough, I bought them because I liked the cover. I didn't know had anything with regards to Batman or anything, and I've never read it because it didn't have number 1. And wouldn't you know it, I got the 2, 3, and 4s, and by the time 4 came out, and I couldn't find one anywhere, and then as soon as I found a number 1, yeah, the price on that sucker jumped. So yeah, kind of missed out on that. I think I'm going to track it down now. I think essentially I have the money to justify paying a little bit more to get that issue number 1, so I at least have the full set instead of going out and buying the graphic novel that goes with the Azrael storyline. Because as far as I know, he essentially, when Bane does a number on Batman, Azrael steps in to take over as Batman, so he wears the Batman costume. I could be wrong. I'm just going by what I've heard. So if I'm wrong, you guys who read the DC, you guys who read the Batmans, you let me know down below. If I'm getting any of this wrong, you let me know. Because I'm just going by memory of what friends have told me and what I remember picking up in the comic shops over the years of collecting. I'm trying to think. I also I remember starting to pick up Robin. I think Robin was like a 3 or 4 part miniseries, and then there was Robin 2, and they had holographic covers on them, or one of them did. Can't remember. And I was buying those, and I liked the artwork that was they had in the Batman stuff then. I really liked. I don't know who was doing the art back then, but I really liked it, which is why I want to kind of go back to it now. I mean, I'm way out of the loop to get into it now, and there's way too many. I think there's just too many Batman titles. Like, it's like, I don't know if it's on par or maybe it surpassed the X-Men titles for Marvel, but like, because I know you got Batman, you got the Dark Knight, you got Detective Comics, and if they were just running with those 3, I'd be fine. But I think there's like a Harley, and what else is there? I don't know. I have no idea what's running right now, but there's definitely too many. There's too many for me to really get into it, and with the way I collect and stuff, I'm too much of a completist. I want to have everything. Now, that being said, that's what what my plans are with the Batman comics. But I also have to get caught up on the Batman cartoons, because you know what, the Batman cartoons, those are awesome. I really think, especially for DC in general, DC and cartoons, television shows, they work. I don't know if it's just because of the great writing, the animation, or what, but for some reason they fit really well. You know what, I liked the X-Men cartoon. I didn't care too much for the Fantastic Four cartoon. So Marvel hasn't really done the cartoons that great. I mean, they did those anime versions. They were kind of cool, but I don't think they really live up to the DC cartoons. I've always thought of DC as cartoons. Growing up, it was, I watched the Justice League and all. I watched, how many iterations of that damn thing was there? Right? The Wonder Twins. I like the Wonder Twins in the cartoon. The Wonder Twins outside of the cartoon, stupid. But in the cartoon, I like the Wonder Twins. I think they're actually created for the cartoon. They're, I could be wrong, but I think they were actually created for that. But, yeah. So I gotta, because I used to watch it. I think they came out in the 90s, right? Was it when 90s when the Batman cartoons first came out? And I used to watch them religiously when I actually had the time then. But then eventually, work, school, university, everything gets in the way. And I mean, when I was in university, there's a sort of a period. It's a weird period because television I didn't have television. I had a television, and I could get a few channels if I was lucky. But that's when I really got back into movies because, you know, I spent a lot of money getting a new computer. Spent $2,000 on my monitor. Spent like $5,000 on my computer. Had the DVD drive. The DVD drive alone was like $500 when I bought it. You know, like, still, you can get it for $20 now, right? When I look at it, it was like crazy. I mean, my scanner alone, you know, whatever, everything about this computer was uber expensive. It was top of the line, and I got into doing movies because I could basically. It was funny at first. I got a card on my computer so I could pipe it out to my television set, and I was running DVDs through there, but the quality was just terrible. It was really bad. I mean, this is an old, you know, wood grain on the outside type, gigantic. I mean, it was a big television and stuff, so it was gigantic, and the quality just, it was not there. I mean, the video converter wasn't the greatest, but eventually I had to get my monitor, so I spent the money and got well, actually it was a gift. Got the monitor, and yeah, it was a 21-inch monitor, guys. Crazy. I know what you're thinking. Wow, you spent $2,000 on a 21-inch monitor. Yeah, it was a 21-inch monitor, and it was the largest monitor you could get for a computer without getting crazy. And the next step up was $10,000 when I bought it. So, yeah. Anybody looking at their computer monitor right now and going, my computer monitor is like 30 inches long. It only cost me a couple $100. Yeah, those were the days. But yeah, so I was watching DVDs on my computer. I had my VCR set up on the television, and you know, Beta and VHS all ready to go. It was all good. And so yeah, I got back into movies, and I couldn't watch, you know, like, I think short of, we had regular nights for South Park, where everybody would get together and watch South Park, but that was it. That was it, man. I missed out on so many television shows back then that I'm trying to catch up on them, and Batman is one of them. You know, beyond Batman and the entire, even all the Superman stuff and all that kind of stuff, anything that came out there that was DC in the television related, I got to catch up on those. But yeah, they, honestly, if I was to say anything was, to me, the closest to Batman, it's those television shows. They are my Batman. As much as I really dig the Tim Burton movies, and I think that sort of idea and the concept and the look, that's really close in terms of live action, that would be my Batman, but they got weird. We all know where those movies went, and we will not talk about them in this video because they are not worth talking about. The new ones, Chris Nolan's, I didn't care much for Begins. Like I said, too much concentration on him being a ninja. That was it. I was out. We get to the second one, and you know what? I didn't want to see Batman in that movie. I just wanted to see the Joker. That's what I watched in that movie, and out of, you know, the Chris Nolan ones, I only care about the second movie. I watched all of them in theaters, and I will eventually maybe own them. I still don't own them. But that would be the only one that I actually really want to own, because I think that portrayal of the Joker, don't get me wrong, I love the Joker from the Tim Burton movies, but they're two different Jokers. You know, one sort of takes the comic version of it, and Tim Burton's, it's a comic movie, whereas Chris Nolan tries to put Batman into sort of like a real life. That's what they're trying to do with all the superhero movies. They're trying to say, like, you know, I could look out the window and there goes Amazing Spider-Man. But, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind that. But to me, the superheroes and the superhero comics have always been, I've always thought of them as sort of a different universe. I don't see a world where that really works. Considering I know how long it takes them to pave a road here, the amount of times when some of these guys run down the street and it's like, oh well, we got to fill in all those potholes because whatever juggernaut just ran down the street. Yeah, I don't see it happening. So that being said, I've never considered them to be realistic. So to me, when they're doing the movies now and such like that, it's cool that they want to make them realistic, but I've always thought of them. They're maybe it's just that I think of the superhero thing as being animated. To me, they're cartoons, and maybe that's the thing. I don't look at them as comics adapted to movies. I think of them more as cartoons adapted to movies. And well, we know how well that really works out, right? Like, anybody watch the Garfield movies or the what else? Dennis the Menace. Even though Dennis the Menace was technically a comic strip. What else? Smurfs. Yeah, anyways, all of those ones that get adapted into real life movies don't tend to be that great. So that's not saying, well, and you know what? It's funny. I think part of the reason why the new superhero movies are working a bit more than they used to is because most of them are animated. The amount of CG work that goes into making those movies now, they're not realistic. Most of the stuff that's going on is not real. It's been done in a computer. They may set it in a real setting and there may be real stuff going on, but when you look at it, if you go and watch any of the behind the scenes features on any of those Blu-rays or DVDs, and you look at it, it's like, okay, here's a picture of the street, and here we added buildings, and here's where we added this building because this building falls over, and here's where we took out this, and we took out this, and we added this in because they get destroyed, and it's just like, okay, so I'm looking at this, and only about 50% of this image is now real, if I'm lucky. Heck, even the guy who's in the suit isn't in the suit anymore because you just CG'd him. Okay, so the superhero's not the superhero anymore, he's a cartoon. Maybe that's why I'm okay with them, because in the end they've turned them back into cartoons. But hey, I've heard they're gonna kill Batman. At least there's a possibility of it. We all know how Superman went. Yeah, that worked out. So, I don't know. Will it happen? Will it not happen? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, he made it to 75 years old, and that's not too shabby. Hope I make it to 75 years old. Of course, I also hope, I get a Batman cape and some body armor. One of those really cool Batmobiles. Awesome. Oh, sorry, the camera's still on. Yeah, so why don't I just end this video here and say, happy birthday, Batman. You're my DC superhero. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and let me know what you think about Batman down below.